Hello, welcome back TV spoilers. Nick chooses to lock everything away in silence not because he trusts Sharon any less, but because he believes that the smallest emotional crack is exactly where Matt will slide in like a blade. Nick sees this fight as an equation that has to be solved cleanly if he can keep control, if he can steer Matt in the direction he wants. The nightmare will end for good before it spills onto Sharon and the kids. But that control is not peace. It is a wire pulled so tight that even a faint gust could snap it. Nick lives our 2 hour with a pressure that never fully shows on the surface. Half hunter and half prey, telling himself he is protecting his family while fearing that his own stubbornness will be the spark that sets everything on fire. He hides the truth from Sharon not to win, but to keep her from being dragged into a place where Matt can hurt her again. Yet the more he hides, the more Nick turns himself into a blind spot inside his own home. And that blind spot becomes a kind of loneliness that feels dangerous all by itself. Sharon feels the change the way cold air finds its way through a crack in a door. She has no concrete proof, but she has the instincts of someone who has lived long enough in the dark to recognize when light is being blocked. Nick grows sparing with words, heavier with thought, his eyes constantly scanning for threats no one else can see. Sharon cannot force a confession out of him, because she understands that pressure can make Nick recoil, shut down, and take bigger risks. But silence is its own form of harm to Sharon. It makes her wonder if she is being left behind, if the family is walking into another danger spiral that she will only be allowed to know when it is already too late. Sharon tries to cling to routine, to crimson lights as a life raft. Yet even there she senses something shifting, as if someone is standing outside the window, watching patiently, coldly, waiting for the exact moment to turn calm into catastrophe. Noah is the first one whose action is triggered by Nick's silence. He is no longer a child who only knows how to fold into his mother's arms when shadows move in. He is grown now, seasoned by fear, aware that family secrets can kill. Noah sees Nick's tension in a very specific form. The tension of a man holding a plan even he is not certain he can control. Noah hates the feeling of being pushed aside. And he hates even more the sense that Nick is walking alone into danger, as if it is his sole responsibility. The fear inside Noah does not explode loudly. It tightens slowly, crushing from within, fear that Nick will turn himself into a sacrifice. Fear that Nick will trade his life for one brief breath of safety for everyone else. Fear that the promise to end it forever is not a promise at all but a warning of tragedy. Then Noah discovers something that snaps all the scattered instincts into a single, terrifying shape. What he once knew about Matt was only the jagged remains of a nightmare, a man relentless, fueled by hatred, always finding a way back. But this time it is not just that Matt is dangerous in a general sense. This discovery touches the way Matt operates, the way he chooses targets. And most chilling of all, fact that Matt has never truly disappeared the way they once hoped. Noah starts rewinding every small sign he used to dismiss, coincidences that feel too precise. The icy timing of each psychological strike on the family. The constant sensation of being watched that never entirely went away. The deeper Noah digs, the more he realizes there has been an underground current guiding everything. And Nick may be trying to use that current to break Matt. But if Nick bends it the wrong way, the knife will spin back and cut the hand holding it. Noah tries to keep himself steady, but fear becomes sharper, more concrete. Nick is not only hiding things from Sharon. Nick may be hiding the true scale of the danger. Noah begins to watch more closely, to become more sensitive to every small change in daily life. He cannot sit still while Nick walks out the door with the posture of a man who has already decided he will take the hit for everyone. Noah wants to pull him back, wants to force Nick to face the worst possibility. It is not something you can control. With sheer will, hatred does not obey moral rules, and ending it forever may be a pretty phrase meant to cover desperation. Yet Noah is trapped in his own conflict. If he exposes Nick, if he forces the truth into the open, he could shatter the last chance to finally stop Matt. But if he stays silent, he is allowing Nick to push himself toward the edge. Before that conflict can be resolved, the worst thing happens in the one way no one has time to prepare for. Matt escapes custody. The news is not just an update. It is a death bell inside Sharon's mind and Noah's. And it cuts through every fragile hope that this time might end in order. Matt escaping means no barrier, no restraint. No line he cannot cross to return and finish what he still calls his own justice. Matt's freedom is the freedom of a storm, and that storm will not take the easiest path. It will take the path that hurts the Newmans the most. Matt does not reappear with noise. He returns through silence and invisibility, as if he wants the Newman family to grind itself down before he ever shows his face. He watches Noah and Sharon in a way that makes the world feel suddenly short of air. Places that used to be familiar begin to feel suspicious. Roads that once felt safe start to feel like they have eyes. Crimson lights, the place Sharon tries to hold onto as a corner of peace, begins to feel invaded even before anything happens. Sharon struggles to look steady so she does not break in front of her son. But every time the doorbell rings, every time glass reflects the outline of a stranger, her heart tightens as if it is being squeezed in a fist. She has already lived the horror of seeing her child fall into danger. And that memory has never faded. It has only been sleeping, waiting to be awakened by a single name, Matt. While Sharon is torn between instinct and the responsibility of continuing to live, Noah is dragged straight toward the center of the storm. He understands Matt does not merely want revenge. Matt wants to rebuild power by making them panic, by making them doubt what is real, by making them unable to trust their own ground. The harder Noah tries to stay vigilant, the more he feels as if he is being guided toward a trap that was built long ago. He starts asking himself if he is the true target or only bait meant to pull Nick into the open. And that thought does not make Noah tremble because he is weak, it makes him tremble because he knows his family could be torn apart by a single wrong decision made in a single second. Matt chooses the weakest point to strike, the moment Noah is alone. The moment Sharon believes Crimson Lights is still crowded enough to be safe. The moment the Newman family is scattered by fear they refuse to name. Matt activates his revenge plan like a sudden blow to their nervous system, giving them no time to prepare, no time to warn each other, no time to speak truth out loud. Noah realizes too late that the calm from minutes earlier was only paint over a door that had been pried open for a long time. When the confrontation happens, everything moves fast, brutal, and heavy with the sensation of inevitability. Noah is not just facing Matt as an enemy. He is facing the full weight of fear that has piled up inside him. The sense that he is stepping back onto the same road where he once became a victim and nearly never came back. The outcome leaves no room for relief. Noah is either badly injured in a desperate attempt to resist, or he is taken kidnapped again so brutally that every earlier effort to be cautious collapses into meaninglessness. That loss of control is what Matt wants most, a message that he can touch them whenever he chooses, that there is nowhere truly safe in the Newman world. And Sharon absorbs the full force of that blow. There is no pain like a mother watching her child brush the edge of death again, seeing danger repeat itself like a curse that cannot be broken. Sharon breaks down not because she is fragile, but because her body cannot hold another round of this kind of terror. Her grief is no longer only tears. It becomes a sudden emptiness, the sensation of the world tilting. The moment she understands that if Noah disappears, a part of her disappears too. The Newman family is thrown into a state that is both panic and paralysis. Like an army ambushed by an enemy who does not need to show his face. They have to face the reality that Matt is back. And they have to face an even more frightening question: how long has Matt been watching them? And what else does he know about them that they do not know about him? The search for Noah begins in desperation, but desperation does not equal blindness. It exposes every crack in the family, especially in Nick. Nick stands inside the storm that his own strategy of silence has helped create. He looks at Sharon collapsing and understands that secrecy is no longer a safe choice. Yet he also knows that if he speaks now, everything he has tried to control could collapse all at once. Nick is ripped apart between protection and obsession, between the fear of losing his family and the fear of living forever with Matt as a shadow. He asks himself whether he has been seeking revenge for his family, or for a piece of pride that Matt has trampled. And that question chills him because it shows how thin the line can be between saving and destroying. Sharon, shattered, still clings to the only thing keeping her from dissolving completely, bringing Noah home. Crimson Lights, once a refuge, becomes a violated symbol. And Sharon cannot escape the feeling that Matt chose it not only because she was there, but because he wanted to turn the place she knows best into the place she fears most. She begins to read everything as evidence: a chair slightly moved, an unfamiliar look, a strange quiet. Pain makes Sharon both fragile and razor-sharp. She has no time left to tolerate gaps in Nick's words. No strength left to be treated like an outsider in her own tragedy. Yet she also knows that if she pushes Nick too hard, if she breaks him at this moment, the family will lose a pillar and Matt will win without needing another strike. Noah, whether hovering between life and death or drowning inside another kidnapping, becomes the center of every conflict. He is not only Matt's victim, he is the mirror reflecting the family's mistakes and fears. If Noah returns with wounds, they will have to live with those wounds. If Noah stays gone longer, they will have to face a possibility no one dares to name. And while everyone races to find him, Noah's original shocking discovery about Matt becomes more frightening in a new way. It suggests Matt's return is not random at all, that everything has been calculated to pull them into the exact position Matt wants. Noah once believed the most dangerous thing was Matt being free. Now he understands something even worse: Matt is free. And Matt may have a purpose more intricate than revenge by violence alone. Nick faces a brutal choice: keep the secret and attempt to trap Matt on his own terms, or speak the truth so Sharon and the family can carry it together, while also shattering whatever advantage Nick still has. In Nick's mind, the phrase "end it forever" turns into a curse. He realizes he may have pushed the family into paying for a war he thought he could control. And in that moment, when Nick looks at Sharon the way you look at someone you are hurting even as you insist you are protecting her, something inside him begins to fracture. Not because he is weak, but because he finally sees the consequence in flesh and blood. The longer the search for Noah stretches on, the thicker the air becomes, like toxic fog. Sharon moves through crimson lights like she is walking through a house that no longer belongs to her. Nick moves like a man hunted by his own choices. And Matt, even without stepping into the light, remains everywhere through Noah's absence. Through the fear that flares every time a phone vibrates. Through the unnatural silence before the next storm. The Newman family may try to unite, but they are still split by what has not been spoken. By assumptions and suspicion. Because when someone like Matt returns, he does not only attack bodies. He attacks trust. He attacks connection. He attacks the very ability to love without fear. And just when the desperation becomes so severe that everyone is ready to cling to any scrap of hope, a small detail rises from Noah's original discovery like a piece of the puzzle that had been buried at the bottom all along. It does not change the fact that Matt is threatening them, but it changes the core question: is Matt hunting Noah because of Noah, or because Noah is the shortest path to breaking Nick? Nick feels his heart sink as he realizes he may have been the true center of the trap from the beginning, and Noah may be paying the price for the war of control Nick started. Before that fear can be shared, before it can be resolved, a new sign appears, something that makes everyone go still. Because it proves Matt is not merely running, not merely retaliating, but actively guiding them into the next step. And at the end of that path, the most terrifying question is no longer where Noah is, but what Matt intends to demand from Nick in exchange for Noah staying alive. A serious murder erupts in the one space Jack once believed was untouchable: the secret room. He has guarded like a private vault. That room was built to bury anything Jack never wanted anyone to read: sensitive files, defensive plans, truths that could collapse trust inside an entire family. Yet now, that very room becomes a crime scene, as if every lock, every wall, every layer of security has been exposed as an illusion. The moment fate decided to drive a blade straight into Jack's sense of control. The instant Jack steps inside, he knows the atmosphere has shifted. It is no longer the familiar hush of hidden information, but a silence saturated with threat. In that split second, Jack understands this is not simply a tragedy. It is an event that will trigger consequences far beyond reputation and power. It is the kind of moment that can put lives on the line. Nick arrives under the weight of that tension, and his presence doesn't soften it, it sharpens it. Jack and Nick have spent years circling each other through alliances and suspicion, family loyalty, and wounds that refuse to close. But a murder in Jack's secret room is a different level of disaster. One that cannot be scrubbed away with explanations or negotiated into invisibility with a deal. Standing there, Jack isn't only fearing the police or the public or rival vultures. He fears the truth will choose the cruelest way to surface. Nick cannot stand at a safe distance either. Any trace inside that room could pull him under, turning him into an accomplice in the eyes of others or the next target. They are facing one shared danger, yet each carries his own private panic. Jack is terrified of losing everything if the room's secrets spill out, and Nick senses a trap tightening around him in ways he may not recognize until it's too late. The danger isn't just that someone is dead. The danger is the question that makes both men go cold: who was close enough to get into that room, and who was ruthless enough to turn it into a killing ground? Jack feels the foundation under his feet tremble. He has spent a lifetime building a posture of control, believing intellect and status could keep chaos at bay. Now he is forced into pure reaction, and he hates it. Nick, running on instincts formed by too many brushes with darkness, sees what is even worse: this murder could be a message, a warning. A deliberate move designed to drag both Jack and Nick into a life-or-death endgame. If this is a chess move, the player is close enough to mock their secrecy, close enough to strike again before they recover, while Jack and Nick remain pinned between the scene and the unanswered questions it ignites. News breaks that Matt Clark has escaped prison. It doesn't land like ordinary headliness, it lands like poison in the bloodstream, changing the shape of the threat in an instant. Matt is a name that has always carried weight in the Newman world. A name capable of dragging old terror back to the surface and turning stability into panic. An escape means a tangible danger has re-entered their lives with no bars, no limits, and no guarantees about where or when he will surface. Jack cannot ignore the timing. A murder in his secret room, and at the same moment, Matt is free. Jack forces himself to believe these are separate catastrophes. But a darker part of him cannot silence the feeling that something is binding them together, with a thread he still cannot see. Nick understands immediately what Matt's escape does to the entire landscape. Plans become fragile. Agreements become meaningless. The rules shift when a man like Matt is loose because every move must account for ambush, sabotage, and worst-case demands. Nick looks at Jack and knows that from this moment on, any mistake could be paid for in blood. This is no longer a battle of reputation or leverage. It is a question of who survives the chain of events now rising like a black tide. That is why Victor Newman abruptly halts every agreement he has in motion with Jack Abbott. Not because Victor has suddenly lost interest in negotiation, but because something more urgent has surfaced, something that threatens Newman Enterprises directly. To Victor, a deal is a tool, and tools are disposable when the empire is under siege. If Newman is being attacked, everything else must move aside. Victor's decision is not just strategy. It is survival instinct from a man who has always placed the Newman legacy above personal feeling. He cannot allow any ongoing arrangement with Jack to distract him. While Newman Enterprises faces a systemic assault, cold, precise, and frighteningly difficult to contain, Victor gathers his family and delivers the crisis with the familiar steel in his voice. But now there is something else beneath it, the unease of an enemy that does not need a human face. He tells them about an artificial intelligence program attacking Newman Enterprises as an invisible predator, something that can slip through cracks, rewrite processes, and undermine safeguards Newman once took pride in. Victor doesn't treat it as a mere technical glitch. This is war in a new form, war where the attacker does not need to stand in front of him, does not need a weapon in hand, yet can still choke an empire by making it collapse from the inside. And when Victor says it, he is also admitting something terrifying. Newman Enterprises may be taking hits in a way that his traditional power cannot easily crush. While Victor is forced to shift his entire focus to the AI threat, Jack is pushed into a cruel paradox of his own. He and Kyle decide to hide Matt Clark in a safe place. The decision is not reckless impulse. It is a choice born from fear and pressure. Matt has escaped, which means he can become prey for anyone who wants him silenced or anyone who wants to use him as a living weapon. If Matt is caught too quickly or eliminated, the questions surrounding the murder in Jack's secret room become even more dangerous, because the world will grab for a convenient culprit. And Matt is the easiest name to pin to anything. Jack sees that clearly. He also sees that in a moment like this, safe does not always mean turning someone over to the system. Sometimes safe means keeping the problem in your own hands, controlling the rhythm of the chaos until you can find the least lethal way out. Kyle stands beside Jack in this choice, and it drags Kyle into a moral gray zone he cannot easily justify. Kyle is no stranger to power wars, but hiding a fugitive places him in territory where one wrong exposure makes him look like a criminal himself. He knows that if this collapses, he will be branded an accomplice, dragged down with Jack, and whatever future he has tried to build could burn. Yet Kyle also understands why Jack is doing it. Everything is already on Freth: murder, Matt's escape, Victor halting agreements, Newman Enterprises under AI attack, and in a blaze like this, whoever holds a card holds a chance to decide who lives, who falls, who gets blamed, and who gets away. On our TV Spoilers channel, I'm always looking for content inspiration for each video by compiling short video clips to analyze and offer my personal opinions. This channel specializes in analyzing, theorizing, and discussing plot points in the Young and the Restless series from the perspective of a longtime fan. Through this, viewers can gain deeper, more objective, and more interesting insights. Subscribe to the channel to stay updated on the latest news about the Young and the Restless series.